I can't sit that close. My mic's in it.
All right, I'll start it because you guys are taking too long.
All right, go ahead, last place.
All right.
I'll go ahead and start it. All right, welcome everybody to the Fantasy Bros podcast. I'm
dude.
Justin Nakua.
This is the most serious intro we've ever had.
Dude,
I'm just here. I'm actually a special guest. I'll probably be a regular now because, one, I probably have the best insight, and yes, I'm a two-time defending champion. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic.
He's also the biggest roommate in the house, too. He forgot to leave that out, but I just want to throw that stat out there.
His shoulders can't fit the camera.
That's true.
So, yeah, welcome to the
wait.
Average Bros
Oh,
Fantasy
wait, 1
Football
second.
Podcast.
Average Bros.
Wait, hold on. Let me restart.
Wow, dude, get
Dude, that was-
better.
that-
Because you guys took so fucking long to
Bro, that
start
was
it.
right.
All right,
organic,
sorry,
bro. That
sorry,
was
children, about
Jesus
the bad
Christ,
mouth
you
by
son
last
of-
place.
All right, guys. All right, go, Tyler.
Yo. Welcome back to the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. So today we're going to do a little something different. We've got a special guest appearance, cameo appearance. It's the one and only Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, live in the flesh, sponsoring Average Bros. Happy to have you here, bro. How you doing?
Thank you. Wonderful.
Biggest roommate in the house right here.
You know when you breathe in the mic, people can hear you, right?
Sorry, it's my first time.
It just sounds like
I'm
air
really
coming out.
excited right now. Really excited.
Oh, it's great to have you here,
He's
Justin.
nervous.
Thank
But yeah, we're here with Justin, roommate, a.k.a. The Rock. It's your boy T.
Hashtag first
We
place.
got Anthony, and then we got the mad scientist Mike over here.
We like to keep it average on Average Bros, so we decided to bring our most extremely average guest.
So yeah, we're an
Justin.
Average Bros. What are we talking about? We're not experts. We're just average guys like
I'm
everyone
an
else
expert.
out there. So we thought, what a better way to do than to bring an average person on here who's in last place, just so we can get some insight on what it's like to be in last place and what it's like to be in last place and what kind of moves you're going to be making to try to not be in last place.
And also what it's like to be in the last place.
That's crazy.
So what's the over/under in National Guard pitches in this episode?
I don't know. You guys just killed
4.
my whole vibe by telling everybody that I'm in last place because like my whole intro was like two-time champ. But yeah, the third year I'm struggling. Like it's hard to go back to back to back, but I'm gonna make it happen.
I like the optimism.
hey, it's not how you start; it's how you finish.
That's right. Join the National Guard. $20,000 bonus. 1 week in a month. Free
And
education.
And here's the thing about Justin: Justin always finishes, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in first play, in a good place, or he gets to the playoffs. He finishes the season.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's get into what
All
we're
right.
talking
Back to
about
being a
today.
scientist.
All right. Last place. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we're gonna jump right into it. So we're just gonna start these Thursday night game, and then we're gonna do the morning games from Sunday night. So Thursday night we got the Eagles at New York playing the Giants. The Eagles are -3, and the over/under is 44. So what are you thinking here, guys? Let's start with the Eagles side. Carson Wentz.
Got to start him.
Starting him. I feel like he's been looking kind of rough lately. I mean, he played the Vikings. Their defense is better. They're not, as elite as they've been the last year, but still the Vikings defense. And he's come back from the ACL tear. Maybe he's just trying to get his legs underneath him still because he hasn't really been practicing and all that stuff. So maybe the more games he plays, the better he gets, and he gets back to like that MVP form he was in last year. But I mean, I think if you got him, unless you got a better option like a Mahomes or someone like that, you're probably gonna have to end up starting him. So.
Yeah, the thing with Carson Wentz is his line is actually giving up a lot of pressures, which normally last year they were like the best line in the league. This year they're fourth in giving up quarterback pressures, so that's kind of leading to some of his inefficiencies as of right now. So this is still a talented line. If they can get it together and kind of play like they did last year, I think you'll see Carson Wentz have more opportunities to throw the ball down the field because last year he was throwing the ball a little bit deeper than he is so far in this season. I think it's a product of the line not playing the same way they were last year. So, it's a long season. The line can make adjustments. He did come back from an injury. So I think he's only going to get better going forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't panic if you have Carson Wentz.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Don't be like French. Don't panic.
Yeah, Jay Ajayi, and you didn't pick up Corey Clement or Wendell Smallwood. Maybe you should panic a little bit.
Hey.
Let's talk about that right now. What do you guys think? Oh no, yeah, we were wrong.
Yeah. So what do you think, Justin? If you're an Ajayi owner and you lost Ajayi, you went out and you grabbed one of these guys, you feel confident throwing a Wendell Smallwood or like a Corey Clement in your
I don't feel
lineup?
confident in anybody in the Eagles offense.
No one in the Eagles offense?
No one in the Eagles offense.
No
Not
Zach
even Zach
Ertz?
Oh, mine is Zach Ertz.
What about Alshon Jeffrey?
No, Alshon Jeffrey just scrub. Had one touchdown, lucky touchdown in the Super Bowl. Won't happen again.
Damn, bro, I like it, bro. He's just straight to the
Straight
point,
to the
bro.
point,
So you're
Now
saying
Ertz-
start Alshon in the Super Bowl. That's it.
Straight
Yeah.
to the point.
If you happen to make it to the fantasy football Super Bowl, and start Alshon Jeffrey.
Nice. There you go. Well, I mean, what do you guys think? You starting Clement? You starting Smallwood? I think this is a full-on running back by committee. I think maybe Clement gets the nod, but I can't imagine him getting maybe go 60-40 Clement. But I mean, I can't imagine it being more than that.
Yeah, it's definitely a running back by committee. I believe that Clement's going to be the head of the committee. I've been reading reports that he's the red zone back out of all these backs, he is more of the red zone back of anyone there. I'm looking at the week 2, week 3 snaps when there was no J.H.I. He outsnapped Smallwood. It was 42% to 30% Clement. Week 3, 55 to 35. So he's going to see more of the snaps in a committee. It is a committee, but it's a good committee to be in. It's not a bad offense in a bad committee. There's a lot of snaps that go around. They hand the ball off to the running backs a lot. They target the running backs a lot. So I believe in this matchup you can play both of them. I would choose Clement just due to the red zone upside and the red zone opportunity. This is an offense that moves the ball and has a lot of chances to score. So Clement's my choice of the two, but I think you could actually start both of them if you're in need of a flex play, especially in a PPR league. They're going to get targets.
They couldn't score against the Vikings. That cost me a ticket, by the way.
Let's leave your gambling problems at home.
We are home.
We are home.
The thing for me with this backfield is it's going to be a committee, and then when Sproles comes back, I mean, I think it just gets even messier. So I'm not sure how confident I am with this. I mean, I guess if you got him, you got some bye weeks, maybe you got some players who are injured. And I thought I turned my phone on airplane mode. I don't even know how this works, but yeah. And then I mean, you get these rumors about LaShawn McCoy possibly getting traded there. So I don't know. It just seems like a mess over there. I mean, if you got those guys, then you got to throw them in there, sure. But I don't know how confident I am in throwing them in there.
I mean,
but,
you wouldn't start. Sorry to interrupt, but you wouldn't start Corey Clement as like an RB2 over. There's not a lot of good RB2s with the bye weeks, and just I think production wise, which you're guaranteed with Clement, I'd feel comfortable with him as an RB2.
I mean, yeah, I guess I started Clement over like an Alex Collins or like a Buck Allen or
What?
Yeah, Alex Collins can't even keep the ball in his hands.
A couple people got some tough matchups for the running backs, like Deion Lewis, Derrick Henry. I started them over like guys like that. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that was good insight. That's true. That's very true.
I actually I know it might not. This might be a little bit of like a hot take, but I think there's a possibility that Clement is actually more efficient than J.H.I. was because he brings the passing game element that J.H.I. didn't. So now if he's going to see the percentage of snaps that J.H.I. saw, and he would say 10 to 15 carries, J.H.I. was not getting any receptions through the air, and Corey Clement has always been a reception guy. So if you give him the same amount of groundwork in the same type of committee, but he's catching 4 or 5 balls, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that Corey Clement is actually a better back than J.H.I. was for fantasy purposes.
I like that. That actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, he did ball out in the Super Bowl, so.
Do they still have Darren Sproles?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Sidebar.
he's hurt.
Good talk.
Come back.
All right, so let's move over to the receivers. I guess you're only starting Alshon Jeffrey, and it's not
That's
the Super Bowl,
it.
so
Yeah.
you can't
Bench
start him.
everyone on the Eagles.
How about Nelson Aguilar? What do you guys think?
I wouldn't start Aguilar. I've been like an Aguilar truther too, but this week I'm not starting him. He's got to show me something more. Carson Wentz has got to get it going in order for him to produce because it's just not there.
Yeah, there's just not those deep targets they were getting last year. He was pretty consistent last year, and he was getting some deep ball targets. Since Wentz has been back, his targets have went up and down too. It's been 5 targets, 12 targets. He didn't catch a lot of those 12 targets either.
Yeah, I was like, when did he get 12 targets?
That was in week 4, but he might have caught 4 or 5. Don't interrupt me when I'm talking. And then last week he had 4 targets, and I believe he caught all 4. Yeah, there's just until we see more. I wouldn't drop him, but until we see more, he's more of a bench option at this point.
Yeah, I got to see it. For Alshon Jeffrey, I know he's going to get shadowed by Janoris Jenkins. Jenkins is a pretty good corner. I think he's having like kind of like a decent year. So, I mean, I guess if you have Alshon, you're probably going to throw him out there and start him, but just don't expect a huge game. I mean, I guess he has the potential of always catching like a long bomb touchdown. That's kind of what his forte is. But, I mean, if he throws a game where he, kind of like last week, where he throws up like a 2 for 40 or something like that, a 3 for 50, like don't be surprised with that either. So, kind of like a boom or bust player for me this week.
Yeah, I mean, he's a high touchdown rate guy, and he's seeing a lot of targets. He's seeing more targets than he did last year. So, I mean, with the touchdown upside, I feel like you're gonna, unless you have some amazing options, it's going to be hard to bench him.
Yeah. Justin, so Ertz, that's the only Eagle you're starting? And what do you got to say about him?
I get killed by him every week, every single week I play.
So you're starting him?
I'm starting him.
Dial him
That's
up.
it.
Dial him up.
And
heard
I'm
it here
starting
first,
Nelson
bro.
Aguilar, but he's sitting
He's
on
got
my
the
bench
rock.
and hasn't produced.
The Rock approval. Ertz, start him.
But Nelson Aguilar is the pride of USC, by the way. USC receiver, which my brother's going there, by the way.
Shout out, bro.
throw
He's
that
just
out.
plugging everything.
Plug.
Bro, we need an outlet over here. We need a power outlet. All right, let's jump over to the other side. So we got the New York Giants. Eli Manning, he's dead to me. He's actually almost dead in life. Probably he's getting old. He's up there.
Seriously.
He's getting up there.
He's getting pretty close.
Barkley, he's just balling out. He's proven to be that second overall pick that they took him at. He's just balling. Odell finally had a game where he came out, threw a touchdown. I think he has a better passer rating than Eli Manning right now. So let's just talk about someone who's like kind of like on the fringe but maybe starting, because Evan Ingram's out. Sterling Shepard, how do you guys feel about him?
I think he's a nice flex option. He's going against Sidney Jones, the slot cornerback. So he has a pretty decent matchup. Actually, him and Odell both have good matchups going into this. Sterling Shepard's been seeing pretty consistent targets, at least 7, 5, 7, 10, and 7. So, without Ingram on the field, I think there's a good shot he sees 7+ targets. And, in a Thursday night game, Giants and Eagles, it's a division game, potential to be a decent scoring game. I don't think you could I think with Sterling Shepard, he's nice flex option.
Nice flex option. So yeah, I was doing some research, just a crazy stat I came upon. See, certain players, they just kind of have like a knack for, like, when they play certain teams, they just crush those teams, or they do really bad against those teams. So Sterling Shepard, he's only been in the league for 2 years. In 4 career games against the Eagles, he scored a touchdown in every single game. So that's a pretty good trend right there. The Eagles are the 30th ranked team against the wide receivers. So, that's a pretty positive sign for that trend to continue. Like I said, I think he's a good wide receiver 3 flex option for sure. He's been playing really good. He's been getting a ton of targets, with Ingram out. So,
yeah, and then with the Jai being down, and then without Sproles, they could lean a little bit more pass heavy as far as their game script goes. They might lean on the pass. I just switched the Eagles with the Giants. Yeah. But, okay. Anyways, back to what I was saying is the Eagles could be trying to throw the ball more, which could lead to more points. So better chance of being an over type of game if you're going to be throwing the ball more than running.
For sure. So defenses, Giants definitely not, probably, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be starting
Eagles
the Giants.
for sure.
I think the Eagles are a nice start in this matchup.
Yeah, Eli. If you have Eagles defense, you probably drafted them kind of high.
In a division game, though?
Thursday night, short game plan, so I wouldn't mind it.
True.
The thing with the Thursday night games is they don't have a lot of game plan to come into. The teams just kind of watch film on Monday, and they're almost on the same game plan they were the week before. It's just you don't have time to practice anything on these Thursday night games. Yeah. So it's I don't mind it just because there's no real game plan going into it. But Philly's a top 12 play. I think if you have them, unless you have a good streaming option or maybe like the Bears or Minnesota defense, I think you're starting them probably.
Eli's known to throw a couple picks here and there, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he just he had like 2 or 3 picks. So, all right, let's jump into the Sunday morning game. So we got the Chargers at Cleveland. The Chargers are -1, and the over/under is 44.5. Baker Mayfield. We were talking about him on the waiver wire about one of the players to possibly pick up to stream. Would you feel confident starting Baker this week?
Absolutely. He's the young Brett Favre.
The young Brett Favre, yeah.
Young Brett Favre. Bro,
do you
he's
like
a gunslinger.
You would pick him up and start him in your lineup?
I would. He threw for 365 yards against the number 1 defense in the NFL.
What quarterback would you play? What quarterback would you play in front of him, or what quarterback would you play Baker in front of? Is what I mean. Like, what's like the highest one? Like, would you play Baker in front of like Deshaun Watson or like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about let's just stay in this matchup: Rivers or Baker?
You got to go to Rivers. You got to go with Rivers. Chargers got a defense.
Yeah. Or do they? They've been giving up points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
true. That
they've
is.
been
I'm
giving up a
thinking
lot of
last
points.
year's defense.
They played Derek Carr last week, so it's.
Yeah,
I think
it's terrible.
I think Baker Mayfield's a decent streaming option.
I'd
If you
take
got
him
like
over Carr.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Take him over Tannehill.
Oh, all day.
I'd take him over Tannehill and Carr actually, over Eli.
But I guess if you got like Stafford or Breeze on a bye this week and you're looking for a streaming option, he's out there in a ton of leagues. Maybe go grab him. This could be. The Chargers defense hasn't really been that good. Joey Bosa's been out for the whole year so far, and they've just been giving up a bunch of points. So
Would you start him over Jameis Winston?
No, I would.
probably go Jameis. Just
Yeah.
the shootout potential in that game.
Jameis is going against Atlanta.
Better
which is-
weapons
That's
too.
true. Like in general.
I have
would
a stat. Atlanta's one of the worst defenses against the pass.
They should call Kina Kua.
Hey, call him up.
Would you start? Would you start Andrew Luck against the Jets or Baker Mayfield against the Chargers?
I'm probably going Luck.
Yeah, Luck.
I think I got Luck too.
Anthony-
What about someone who's been underperformed? Yeah, I dropped him when he was a 23rd ranked quarterback. Yes, I did. I don't regret it.
An underperformed what quarterback?
I don't
Yeah.
drop quarterbacks if they're getting me 20 or more points.
Mariota.
It was
Yeah.
15, 16, and 24. It's just in this type of year, it's not getting it done.
Yeah.
I was losing matches because he was terrible for me.
Speaking of terrible, Alex Smith.
So here's a quarterback that's really underperforming. So Russell Wilson or Baker Mayfield?
I'd probably go Russell because I think he's starting to get hot.
Yeah,
He's a slow starter.
Yeah,
He's starting to heat up, I think.
It's week 6, so I think by week 8, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, 2 more
will be-
weeks
And
later.
the Raiders are keeping it.
See, I think I'd maybe go Baker. It's what's scaring me about Seattle's offense is
line?
Schottenheimer. He's one of those 1940 coaches that wants to run the ball 400 times, and they're actually, unfortunately, having success running the ball. They were dead last in pass attempt percentages last week, and I think they were bottom 5 the week before. So I'm a little worried that if they have success on the ground against Oakland, that they run the ball a lot more in this game. And Oakland themselves, with Marshawn Lynch having a revenge game, might even run the ball a decent amount.
Yes,
So
sir.
I think with that kind of, just the way the Seahawks have been controlling the clock, I think I'd actually lean with Baker Mayfield in this. As crazy as that sounds.
I can agree.
Hot
with
take.
that. I
Yeah, you were
agree.
saying Mariota and Alex Smith. I go Baker over those guys.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sure.
I actually think Baker. Maybe I'm crazy. Top 12 quarterback already.
Already?
Fantasy wise.
Rest of the season? Yeah.
I think.
I mean, the potential's there.
The potential's there. So let's jump into the running backs there. Carlos Hyde. I think he's still leading the league in rushing. I mean, he's up there. I
Yeah,
know
he's
that.
up there
Is
in
he?
attempts.
Shit, definitely in attempts.
I mean, you're playing him. If he's leading the league in touchdowns, I mean, he's got like 5 or 6 touchdowns already.
And they're one of those teams that don't mess around.
Yeah, they don't mess around.
They just-
Chubb and Duke Johnson. I think I'm fading these guys. I mean, Chubb had those 2 big runs.
Yeah.
Duke kind of. I mean, they signed him to the extension last year. He was a PPR guy, but maybe that's because the quarterback play was so bad that he was dumping the ball off so much. Duke Johnson. He's been a huge bum. He's been a bust. So I wouldn't feel confident starting Chubb or Duke Johnson.
Yeah, it's pretty much the Hyde show as of now. I mean, what's the coach's name who can barely win games again?
Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson. He's like, we're going to give Nick
Bro,
Chubb
he's
some
got
more
2.
work. And he comes out and gives him 1 more carry.
Yeah.
So I think at this point it's Carlos Hyde's backfield. So unless he has an injury, he's a volume play. Like even without the end zone, he's going to get you some at least guaranteed points. And if they get inside there, he has potential to score because they've just been giving him the rock inside the 5-yard line. So
I feel like coaches just do that just to hype up fans. Like, dude, after someone runs like a 60-yard touchdown, they're like, dude, we're gonna play him. He's our guy. But they're just hyping up Cleveland fans. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Chubb's just basically a handcuff for Hyde. And then the only value that Chubb or Duke Johnson can have is if Hyde goes down. Then I think that would turn to maybe like a committee of more of like a 50-50 split. But yeah, for now, like Anthony said, it's the Hyde show.
Landry, start him. Receivers, they don't really touch anyone else.
Bless him.
That's it.
Callaway.
We can discuss David and Joker pretty quick. I think he's a nice tight end start since Baker's been. Huh?
Nothing.
He's like Callaway, and you're like, let's discuss David.
I mean, do you really feel comfortable starting Antonio Callaway?
No. That's what I was asking. It's like, what do you think about him? That's all.
Yeah, who gets the? I mean, if you want to start Antonio Callaway, go
I
ahead.
definitely would not start him. Here's the thing: you're definitely
yeah.
starting Landry, and like Anthony, you were about to touch on Njoku. I would start. Those are the guys who I would start in this. I wouldn't start Higgins or Callaway. I mean, you got Casey Hayward on the outside. I doubt he doesn't. Here's the thing with Casey Hayward. He doesn't shadow into the slot, and that's where Landry lines up 71% of the time. So you don't have to worry about Landry being shadowed by Casey Hayward. So he's most likely going to be on Antonio Callaway, and he's been struggling already. Now you put one of the best cover corners on him. He's definitely not. He shouldn't even be owned. He's just, I don't know. It's too much for him.
Yeah,
It's
thanks
Landry,
for just
and
wasting our
that's it.
time, Mike.
But
Thanks for making us waste time on Callaway.
Yeah, I was like, come on, bro.
Let's
Bruh.
jump. Let's jump into the tight
put your
end,
glasses back on. Maybe you'll make some
maybe
more
that's what it was.
wiser
though.
decisions.
Yeah. All right. So what
do
are
you have
saying?
anything on the Browns, Justin?
Yeah, they shouldn't have cut kind of cool.
David Njoku, I was touching on how since Baker Mayfield's been there, he's been heavily targeted. I mean, he's only played a half, and Njoku saw 2 targets in the half for 24. And over the last 2 games, 7 and 11 targets. If you're getting anywhere in that range of targets from the tight end position, that is a high volume that's high for a receiver to have, and let alone a tight end position that is very thin. If you're seeing that, he's someone I'm trying to see if I can even package trade and pick up as like a second tight end. Just going forward, I like him. So David Njoku, I think, is a nice start in this matchup.
Yeah, he's got a tough matchup on paper, but these last 2 starts with Mayfield, like you said, he's got 7 targets and 11 targets, and his yard per carry yards per catch. Sorry, his yards per catch have went up from 4.7 to 11 point yards per catch. So it doubled with Mayfield in there. So I think he's turning into, you were saying, a couple episodes ago about rookie's quarterback's best friend is the tight end. So, and it's looking like it so far. So yeah, I definitely start, and a trade target. Another episode we'll talk about that, but definitely a trade target. The schedule's juicy coming up for him and down the stretch.
Yeah, and he's been on the field for over 80% of the snaps and since week 3 on, 90% last week. So he's on the field. Darren Fells. Last year, the reason it was kind of inefficient, if you combine the 2 tight ends, they would have been a top 8 tight end as far as production goes. But now that David Njoku's seeing 90% of the snaps, I think he has potential to be a top 8 going forward, especially with Baker, the next Brett Favre, or whatever you said, going forward.
The young gunslinger.
Yeah, I like him. He's got that mentality for sure. All right, let's jump on the other side of the ball. Phillip Rivers, starting him.
Yep. I mean, I feel like he's a top. I feel like he's been consistent. I'd be hard pressed to bench him unless you had 2 top options. I mean, Jameis Winston, I think someone picking up. Would you go Jameis Winston or Phillip Rivers?
I'd probably go Jameis Winston for the upside in an easier matchup. This is actually a tough matchup for Rivers on paper, but I think he's just been he's a savvy veteran. He just gets it done. I mean, they have the weapons. They're using the running backs a ton in space. Gordon and Eckler are getting a ton of catches. That just pads his stats. He all he has to do is throw like a dump off pass to Eckler, and he runs it 30 yards for a touchdown, and you get 10 points basically out of that almost. So
Would you go at Luck or Rivers?
that one's tough. I might go Rivers because it could be a potential shootout, or back and forth. This Colts and Jets game might be more stagnant.
Yeah, it's weird. Since Baker's taken over too, these games have been a little bit more. I think he's putting up more offense at a faster pace than Tyrod was. It wasn't so much control the clock. There's been a little bit more passing yardage going through because he's doing more as a quarterback. So I think I'd go Rivers. I'd lean Rivers too. It's a close one, but I think I'd lean Rivers there
For sure. All right, so Melvin Gordon, he's every week set it, forget it. I mean, he could finish as the RB1 if Gurley doesn't score 3 touchdowns every week.
God, I love that guy.
Yeah. Eckler, we talk about him every week, and every week he's scoring a touchdown, or every week he's putting up double-digit fantasy points, and every week we tell you, throw this guy in your flex. He's at least a flex guy, right?
Yeah, he's a flex guy going forward.
Bro, look at that muscle, dude.
You probably can't see that if you're just listening to us,
No
but
flex
You
zone.
can check us out on YouTube, and then maybe you could see.
maybe you
that's
could see
sweet.
Follow
Dwayne
us at
Johnson.
Average Bros.
Plug us,
Fantasy
Doug.
football.
Dude,
Dude, I can't
you're
believe-
the plug guy, bro. Plug us. What are we?
Average Joe's _ fantasy football.
Average bros.
Average Bros fantasy football. Follow us.
Jesus.
What'd you say earlier? Postmates. Follow us on Postmates.
Postmates?
What were we talking about? Started with a P.
Oh, Periscope.
Periscope. Twitter. It's just Twitter.
Bro, he
and then
did.
Periscope comes
He was
with
like,
it.
follow us on Postmates for your 10% discount. Hit up the National Guard.
Jesus.
By the way, if you are interested in the National Guard, they do have. A
Yeah, if you're
$20,000
interested in
bonus.
the Army Rangers or the Coast Guard, then you join. Hit up our
Coast
boy.
Guard?
Yeah, the
This
Coast
guy.
Guard. Just like we're gonna follow us on Postmates, we're gonna tell them to go check out the Coast Guard.
All right, let's get back on track.
All right.
All right, so you're starting those running backs, receivers, Keenan Allen, PPR machine. Let's talk about Mike Williams here because he's kind of been a guy who's like boom or bust every week. What do you think? How you feeling about Mike Williams?
Bust.
He's been chilling on my.
I like your one-word analysis.
I know,
of
dude.
it.
It's just nails it. dude.
Bust
We-
since Clemson.
Someone said Todd Gurley. He's like, God, I love that guy. All right.
So there's no way Mike Williams is making your lineup this week.
He's been chilling on my
Flex?
bench.
Double flex?
Honestly, I've had him on my bench the entire season. Not played him once.
Yeah.
I played him once.
He had one big week, right? Didn't he have a
Yeah.
huge big week?
He had 2 big weeks,
Oh.
and
Yeah.
then I think he's kind of fell off these last 2 weeks.
Well, because I'm such an expert, I played him those 2 weeks, and then I pulled him out those other weeks.
That
Dude,
explains
you're
last
fucking-
You're
week.
fucking wicked smart.
No, yeah, because I put the glasses back on, and now I feel
Speaking
fucking
of, those
good.
are Harry Potter
Dude,
glasses,
yeah.
but that'll be my last plug of the night.
I think the worry with Mike Williams is the targets are up and down, but even at the up, they're not that high. His high target games are 6 and 7. His low target games are 2, 3, and 4. So it's a gamble, and it's a gamble to where if he sees 3 targets in a game, you might get 2 catches for 21 yards, and he could potentially cost you a week if you use him as a wide receiver too. Until I see those target volume higher, there's a lot of receiving options. I'd even more feel comfortable probably grabbing someone off the waiver wire and starting them over Mike Williams if that was my option. Just until you see more of a consistent target basis out of him, you're seeing at least maybe 6 or 7 consistently. He's someone I'm kind of trying to avoid.
Yeah, I feel like Keenan Allen's the main guy there, and I feel like Williams and Tyrell Williams are kind of splitting those. Each week it kind of teeter totters back and forth. So yeah, I wouldn't feel confident with him yet. He's more of like a dynasty guy for now, and you stash him. And I mean, if there's an injury, then I guess he could potentially come and see more targets. But until then, yeah, he's on my bench. So old man Gates, what do you think? I'm not playing him. I wouldn't even pick him up. He's just, I think he's just there because he's familiar with the offense. He kind of knows what's going on. You kind of you're wishing for a touchdown with him. That's it. If not, you're getting like 1 for 12.
I actually just picked him up when you said that. That just crushed me. Like I wouldn't play him, and everybody, all three of you agree, and I'm just like, oh, I just picked him up off the waiver wire. That's crazy.
I didn't agree.
Do you agree, Mike?
You're in last place. I don't really value your
Dude,
opinion.
I don't understand how you can say that I'm in last place when you know full well that you are in last place.
Hey, would you guys start Antonio Gates or Vance McDonald?
I'd play Gates over McDonald. Wait. Yeah, this week, yeah.
Can I get somebody's opinion that's won a game?
Who are the Steelers? I'd probably play Vance. I'd play Vance.
I'd play Vance.
What'd you say? Vance?
No,
You said Gates?
Gates.
I said Gates too.
Well, it looks like me and Tyler are on the same side.
Beer bets?
Beer bets?
You know
Beer
what it
bets?
is? You know what it is because this is like the maybe I'm just biased because this is the first year that they're actually using a tight end more and more.
All right, let's beer bet it right now. Do a shotgun.
Wait, who's
him.
using the tight end more and more? The Chargers?
Pittsburgh is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because before it would be like Jesse James sometimes, but because Le'Veon Bell doesn't have all these targets anymore,
That's true.
then now tight ends have become more relevant in that on that team. But I don't know. So maybe I'm just thinking last year, but
No, because he did it with Grimble too a couple times.
yeah, Grimble got like 40 yards, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That
this-
guy's from here. He went to like
Yeah,
Gorman,
he
I
went to
think.
Gorman.
Oh yeah. The sole reason I would start McDonald over Gates is Gates isn't going to be able to get you 50, 60, 70, 80 yards through the air. At least Vance McDonald has that upside.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to start two tight ends that are going to see low targets and possibly not do anything, I'm going to start the tight end that has potential to get me 80 yards in a game, which is not Antonio Gates at this point.
For sure. Yeah.
He probably could have a 20-yard head start and he wouldn't be able to run 80 yards.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so you start either one of these defenses? Probably not.
I wouldn't mind the Chargers possibly because Baker still is a rookie and he is making some mistakes. So there is potential for a couple of interceptions, potential for, he does hold the ball a long time if you watch him. He is in the pocket making moves and hold the ball. So I don't think the Chargers are the worst start necessarily. Not the best, but I think they're middle of the road if you don't have, sometimes it's hard to pick up a streaming option and trust it. I think the Chargers are at least an average start in this matchup for sure.
Average bros start.
All right, well, let's jump into the next matchup. So we got the Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans. The Texans are -10, over-unders 41. For the Buffalo Bills side,
We can make this
I
quick.
think it's McCoy or nothing, and even then, I don't feel super confident with McCoy. I
Dude,
don't know
but
how
what
to-
about 6 foot Groot?
6 foot Groot? He needs to get like 2 touches in a game so we could just talk about someone else besides McCoy.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
what about you? I mean, you guys feeling comfortable starting McCoy? Do you feel confident? I mean, he's kind of a name, and you probably drafted him relatively high. At least the first 3-4 rounds. And I mean, how do you feel? Would you start him?
I feel like
Exactly. That's exactly my point. Would you start him? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very.
I mean, if I'm deciding, I feel like he's a guy where if it's like, okay, I needed someone to plug in a second flex or something, like Mike Williams or McCoy, I'm like, okay, at least I know I'm going to get points out of McCoy versus like a Mike Williams. Like,
Right.
there's a chance I get like
You get a dud.
get
from
a
him.
dud. So based off of volume, if you're in probably like a double flex and you don't want a dud, let's just say you have a lot of players on buys. If he gets another high volume game again for the second week in a row, I feel like you can trust him a little more going forward. But with the lack of touchdown upside in that offense, he's just a volume, get me some points and don't get me a zero type of play to me right now.
I just don't understand why they're not using him more in space. Like, he should be getting 5 catches every single game. Like, literally, like, you rookie quarterback, don't expect him to throw the ball down the field. Confidence booster, bro. Like, drive starters. Every first down should be a dump off to Shady or something like that. Every, other play should be a dump off to Shady. Like, get him in space. Send the receivers deep, dump it to fucking Shady. Like, I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense. We finally saw them give him the volume. He had, 25-plus touches last week. Can he keep it going? I don't know because it's too up and down.
Hard to trust at this point.
Yeah. What about you, Justin? You starting Shady if you have him?
Yeah, do you have McCoy in any leagues?
I don't know. My Instagram live volume was down the entire time, and everybody's telling me that right now. So that's all I'm thinking about.
It's good because we're just talking. We're throwing the F-bombs and things like that. But,
I'm really
but
mad.
all your plugs, bro. What about all
No,
your plugs?
dude,
when I saw Buffalo Houston, I literally lost all interest in this entire matchup.
That's kind of
Yeah.
how it is, right?
Yeah, your brain just went blank. You just started staring off in space.
But can we talk about Josh Allen? Is he impressive?
Negative.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the Houston side.
Does he have potential though? Like he's
Negative.
Negative. No
You
wonder
gonna
why you're
help
in
me
last
out
place,
over
bro.
last place? Are you gonna,
Negative.
He actually played good last week.
He had 82 passing yards.
Well, he had a nice rush. That's what I meant. He had a
One nice rush
play.
in a
What is he,
four-quarter game.
Young Cam Newton or what?
They look the same.
All right, let's jump over to Houston side. Just so Deshaun Watson, you're dialing him up. DeAndre, he's hitting the B button, spinning out of tackles left and right. You're starting him. Struggling keeping the receivers right there. Kiki Cutie and Will Fuller. I think you can flex both these guys probably right now. I mean, they're both getting targets. They're both getting run. I mean, how are you guys feeling about it? What are you guys thinking?
Chill.
Well, Justin's just playing our live
know.
feed.
Everyone has
What's up,
sound.
Carly? Carly, you got any fantasy football questions? All right, let's go back to Kiki Cutie and
Will Fuller.
Will Fuller. It's a matchup against Buffalo, so watch Will Fuller's practices though, because if he is out, I really do like Kiki Cutie as a second option in this matchup. Will Fuller, if he's out there, with Deshaun Watson, I feel like there's potential for always a blow-up game. So
They just have a connection, him and Watson, Will Fuller and Watson. So, I mean, and you got to think this way: Tre'Davious White, he's the best corner on the Bills. He's like one of the best corners in the league. Actually, he's going to be on DeAndre Hopkins for most of the game. Now, I don't think he's going to shut out DeAndre Hopkins, but his sole focus is going to be on DeAndre Hopkins. So that leaves Kiki Cutie and Will Fuller, to feast on the shittier corners, basically. So I think those guys could flex plays right there, especially if you're like in a double flex league. I wouldn't mind throwing either one of the guys. I mean, Kiki Cutie's 10 plus points in back-to-back games. So
Who is Kiki Cutie?
this is why you're in
he's
last
a
place.
Kiki Cutie.
That name right there, I'm drafting that guy. Oh,
Yeah, I think Houston's another one of those teams where they're going to kind of utilize three receivers. They don't have a tight end. They're not feeding targets to the tight end. I mean, they have tight ends physically, but they're not feeding targets to the tight end. So, in a sense, that third receiver is the tight end target wise. And Lamar Miller's banged up. Alfred Blue, he saw a decent amount of targets last week. But I think this is a team where they're going to use three wide receivers pretty consistently.
I mean, yeah, we see it with the Rams. We see it with the Lions.
You even see it
So,
with Packers.
Packers doing three receivers. So, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, they're obviously game planning to get Kiki Cutie the ball, like I said, in the waiver wire. So they're using him in all over the field. So, yeah, I like him. I think that you can stream both those guys.
And Deshaun Watson always has 350, 400-yard potential in a game. So
you just can't score on the 1 yard line.
It costs you money. All right, let's jump to the running backs. So Lamar Miller.
this is just like Justin's
This is like
gambling
Justin getting-
confessions
He's just getting
podcast.
bummed out from previous weeks of football.
Every team he has a story about. You don't have any good stories. Maybe you should stop gambling.
Yeah, it's true. Let's talk about this game. Oh, I'm excited about this game.
Well, let's talk about the running backs here. So Lamar Miller missed last week. He had the chest. He had a pain in his chest, and he can't breathe.
Yeah, but he was active though.
Actively on the
Actively on the bench.
He's not playing again. Alfred Blue, I think. Well, Alfred Blue didn't really steal the job,
Dude,
but
do you know some like insight?
I mean,
We
Alfred
don't
Blue,
know.
he had 8 receptions for, 50, 60 yards, but and he had like another 40 on the ground. He ran the ball 20 times and he only had like 46 yards. So he didn't run effectively. It just kind of shows how bad that Houston line is.
they're terrible.
Terrible, huh?
Imagine if Deshaun Watson had the real line.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Hey, Dallas defense though is not that bad.
Not that bad.
No,
Off
they're
the
not.
subject, but
Off the
They're
subject.
not. No, but I'm just throwing that out there. Dallas' defense is not bad. Jalen Smith's actually a really good linebacker.
And from left field comes in Dallas defense.
No,
I
humpback-
thought we were recapping last week.
Hey, do you know that humpback whales live for 45 years?
Bro, I said that because
I'm just
Houston
saying
played
that.
Dallas and I lost money, so it was the first thing that popped up in my head.
Yeah. Well, I just saw a humpback whale when I was visiting Houston, so on the off the coast. So I was like,
That's why I just say
that's
one
why I
word
thought
answers.
about it.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Deontay Foreman? No.
Yeah, I was about to mention him. Is if you have an extra bench spot, he's someone he's supposedly supposed to play once he comes back, and I don't really put the full blame on Lamar Miller. I think it is part of the line, but this running game needs a spark. He did have an Achilles tear, so there's not a good track record of running backs coming back. But the good news is he's only, I think, 22 years old. He's super young. So with that age, you do recover a little faster and come back a little faster. It's more of like a stash him on your bench, and there's a possibility he ends up being a useful running back. If you're thin at running back and you're in trouble, which I see some teams and leagues are, I think it's a decent stash just to see what happens. Could be nothing, but it doesn't hurt to stash him.
Yeah, I'm a big Lamar Miller truther, but it just hasn't happened. I mean, he's got nowhere to run. I don't even know if he has a touchdown. He's just been playing terrible.
Yeah, he's as good as he was in Miami.
He's actually pretty good in Miami. He finished top 12 one year. Bet me.
He finished top 10 twice.
Off screen passes when they're down by 20.
Hey, points are points.
Points are points.
This
are
is
points.
valid.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is valid. I forgot it was fantasy football.
Points
I thought we were
are
betting.
points.
All right, let's jump. Speaking about
Why
Miami.
is everything betting?
Speaking of Miami, we're gonna talk about the Chicago Bears at Miami.
See how I did that segue right there?
Dude, you plugged that fucking perfect.
not my
Dude.
first
You're the
time.
plug guy, dog. All
Easter
right.
plug in the building.
So Bears at Miami.
Bears.
I'm kind of nervous for Miami as a fan. Our offensive line looks terrible, and
They not
the
good.
Bears defense they good.
They're good.
Dolphins not defense. Dolphins O line not good. Bears D line they good.
They good.
So Khalil Mack probably gonna break the sack record this game. Probably gonna have like 8 sacks. So yeah, I don't know. I'm nervous for Miami. I don't know who I would start at Miami. I'd maybe take a flyer on Kenny Stills. Drake. I mean, he had that good game last week, but I feel like he still only saw 5 carries, 6 carries, and it all came through the air.
Yeah, the reason I have a little bit of optimism about Drake in this matchup is he had 7 receptions last week, and he's explosive. Why they're using Gore more than him in the ground, I don't know. And Gore doesn't look bad to his credit, but Drake is so explosive that you'd want to get the ball in this guy's hands as much as you can. But what I do like is he had 7 receptions last week. You talked about the offensive line, the offensive line being bad, the offensive line being bad. What do you do to take pressure off your quarterback? You run screens. You run, quick little dump offs to the running back. So, and Miami is a screen team, so I think there's the potential for Drake, if you're in a PPR league, to get maybe 5-6 receptions again, and possibly do some damage with the receptions, because he is a weapon in open space. So, flex type of running back. I have Ingram and Kerryon Johnson on a bye, so Drake's someone I'm going to have to start. So seeing and it is a full PPR league, so I'm a little bit optimistic that he's going to get some PPR value into this matchup, because like I said, with the pressure that's going to come into Tannehill, the way to help your quarterback get pressure off is run these screen passes, run these things to keep the defenders on edge, not coming in so fast.
Has Drake been kind of a disappointment?
He's had 2 good games, like
Where
1
he got
neutral
drafted
game, and then 2 shitty games. So it's kind of been like up and down, up and down. The only thing I can say about that is I agree with what you're saying. Throw him the ball, little dump off passes. But Adam Gase is an idiot for some reason, and he's just not giving him the ball, period. Also,
It's because he looks like Chicken Run. So if you don't look like a chicken, he's not going to start.
His eyes are so fucking close together. It makes my brain hurt. And every time I see him on TV, I'm like, dude, put that fucking bill lower, bro. I can't look at your eyes.
If you don't know who Adam Gase is, Google Adam Gase and then Google Chicken Run.
Same fucking thing. Dude.
Same thing.
I'll post it. Maybe I'll edit it in this video, but go on YouTube and watch it if you want to see what we're talking about.
nice. But yeah, you were saying Drake to get some catches. So some stats on the Bears defense. They only allow 3 receptions per game to the running backs. So they're only allowing 3.4 yards per carry and only 64 yards per game on the ground. They're the best run defense in the league. So this is why I personally, in my opinion, would be fading Drake. Do you want to do a beer bet on this one?
Hashtag Khalil Mack.
Well, I mean, the reception game could lead to the targets per game. So that's, if there's 4 targets in a game, they have 3 receptions. It's different. But what do you want to beer bet? Sure.
Beer bet.
Rushing yards.
I don't know, I mean,
I'm not beer betting rushing yards, but I'll beer bet.
No, we'll do points. Over under points. What do you think? Over under points.
Bears win by 10.
PPR
12.
points. 12 points.
Over under 12 points for Kenny and Drake.
I don't even feel comfortable with
See, that's what I'm saying, bro. If you don't feel
All
comfortable,
right,
it's
all right, 9.
Okay, but you have to realize people don't have a lot of options. You could say bench this player, but we're talking to the masses who might not have
All
a
right,
great
beer bet.
option.
Just do 10 points.
Yeah, I'll do 10
Double
points in a
digit
PPR. That's
All right,
fine.
beer bet.
Beer bet.
So
the
you
Bears
think
You
Better
can't just
by
say
10.
bench players when people might not have. Do you look at some of the teams in your leagues and look at the running backs they have?
Yeah, I
Some
can.
people
Bench Kenny and Drake.
It just makes me nervous. I mean, like I get what you're saying, but like the Bears, their defense, they're coming off a
The
bye.
Bears.
I mean, our offensive line is so bad, and they're only giving up. They're only averaging giving up 3 receptions
team's
per
bad.
game. So it just makes me nervous. But we'll beer bet it. 10 points over under. I got the under 10 points. You got over 10 points. PPR beer bet that one. So. Receivers, you starting anyone? I said Kenny Stills, maybe taking a flyer on him, but I think that's about it.
I don't even think I'm starting Kenny Stills, honestly.
Yeah. Let's jump over to the Bills. Not the Bills.
Hey, can we go back to the Bears real quick?
Let's go to the Bears.
That's what we're doing.
Jordan Howard, what do we do with him right now? Anybody?
I don't know, man. What do you? You're the expert here,
you're
bro.
You're right. I am the experts, but I want to know what the average people's perspective is because, like, he is. I start him every week, and he hasn't done anything for me.
I think this is going to be another Tariq Cohen week, just because Miami's really bad against pass catching backs. So I think I'm starting Tariq
Cohen even out carried him last week.
Yeah, I just think that I don't know. Jordan Howard, he old.
No, he's not.
He's like 24.
Oh, that's younger than me. Fuck.
One thing I can say with Jordan Howard is Miami, we do allow the 4th most points to running backs, and we allow the 6th most receptions to running backs. We've already given him 35 receptions to running backs, so I think Cohen, like you just said, Mike, could have a big game coming out the backfield. And even Jordan Howard, he's been getting, like 2 or 3 receptions every game. It seems like he's been doing better than last year. So I think this is a good game for Jordan Howard here. I think he finds the end zone, gets you double-digit fantasy points here. I'd be comfortable starting him this week.
I'd do a beer bet on that.
Yeah, I mean, we do
Don't
allow
do
a lot
that.
of passes, but the teams we've played too throw to the running back a lot too. So and so do the Bears. So I think teams know that actually that we're not good against pass catchers. I mean, we played New England, throw to the running backs a lot. Cincinnati, throw to the running backs a lot. Tennessee threw to Deion Lewis a ton in that matchup.
Yeah, like
so,
7-9 times.
Yeah, so that's just sometimes I'm like pointing out, like when we made the beer bet is like look deeper into the stats because sometimes these things could be skewed based on who the teams have played and stuff like that. But I do agree this is a good matchup, but just something to where if you're trying to make a decision between someone, like maybe they have a bad matchup, like it's a red matchup, for a tight end, but possibly they might have played 5 teams that have no good tight ends. So, don't just see red green, look into the numbers a little bit more before you make that final decision.
I actually picked up Trubisky this week. I'm streaming him. I picked him up. Matt Ryan. Who's on a bye this week? The Breeze?
It's Breeze and Stafford.
So I had Breeze.
The Breeze?
Well, the Breeze.
Da Breeze.
But in my big money league where we played 2 quarterbacks, Trubisky was the only one.
Yeah, those 2 quarterback leagues are hard.
2 quarterback league?
Dude, some
kids.
silly people are, man.
Kids.
But you think he's gonna throw 3 touchdowns, 300 yards against the
I
Dolphins?
mean, he did throw 6 touchdowns the other
It's
week.
true.
Yeah, but
Was it
before
2
that,
weeks
what
ago?
had he done? So
Nothing.
I mean, Miami's
don't-
defense has been surprisingly pretty good against the pass. I mean,
Yeah, we have
Minka,
we lead the league in
he's been good.
interceptions.
Yeah, Xavier Howard is turning into a premier corner. Rashad Jones, our secondary is not terrible.
How's Fitzpatrick doing?
I don't know if I wouldn't put Trubisky as a top 15 option this week. Me personally, I know it is the Dolphins, but we do make some picks. There's a chance their defense shuts us down a lot, so they could be in more of a run-heavy game script. Allen Robinson's going to line up against Howard but you can talk all the shit you want about the Dolphins, but Howard has been shutting like legit receivers down for
he's turning into
over a year now.
Premier corner.
So I think if they're going to beat the Dolphins, it's going to be, a little bit of ground and pound, more to the tight end, more to the running backs to the passing game. Because outside of Robinson, their options are Gabriel. That might be a sneaky start as Taylor Gabriel in this game.
Yeah. All right, so Allen Robinson, like we just said, I'm not starting him. Trey Burton, I mean, tight end position is so thin. You got to dial him up and throw him out there.
Yeah.
We typically struggle against tight ends for the most part. I think we've gotten a little bit better, but if you can't throw the ball to Allen Robinson, you're probably throwing it to Trey Burton. So defenses here, I'm dialing up the Bears defense. They'll probably be the number 1 defense for me if I was going to rank them. I'm worried. Our line is not good.
Yeah, top 5 option.
And yeah, it worries me.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup.
All right, so we got the Arizona Cardinals at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are -10. When I look at this line, I instantly want to take the Vikings -10, but then I think about the Bills game, and it makes me question it. But I don't know. I think the Vikings are just going to destroy the Cardinals in this game.
We can make this matchup pretty quick because
In
we're actually
Minnesota.
running heavy on time. Arizona, you're starting David Johnson still. He's an RB2.
Still?
What options are? I mean, unless
Starting
you have some
David
amazing
Johnson.
options.
He looked
That's
better
it.
last week.
Yeah, David Johnson. That's it. You're not starting the running backs. Minnesota.
Christian Kirk.
I
He
would-
had a big game last week. That's the only
Definitely
reason
not.
why.
Yeah, not a good quarterback. A tough road matchup against Minnesota,
Yeah.
who I know they haven't been the best so far.
And plus, they're going to probably. Who do you think Xavier Rhodes will line up against, anyways?
He's going to be on the outside, and Fitz is in the slot, so you got to figure it's going to be more of Christian Kirk than it is Fitzgerald.
Right.
So I'd fade him in this matchup.
Yeah.
Minnesota, you're starting Kirk Cousins, you're starting Stephon Diggs, you're
All
starting
day.
Kyle Rudolph, you're starting Adam Thielen, Latavius Murray. If Dalvin Cook's out,
if Dalvin Cook's out, I would for sure dial up Latavius Murray because the Cardinals they're like ranked 32nd, the worst in every single statistical category against the run.
Yeah,
like,
they're
they give
not
them the
good
most
against the
touchdowns,
run.
the most rush yards. They're just like the worst run. It's like if your running back is playing against the Cardinals, you throw him in there. Like I don't care who it is. Like you're throwing him in there. Like we could go out there. Justin can go out there and put up some solid points over there.
And dude, the thing about that is that Justin's super unathletic too. You know what I mean?
All right, and then Minnesota's D, you're starting them. So
Yeah.
let's go on to the Colts and the Jets. Jets. Jets are S.
So Luck starting him. I mean, he's throwing the ball 60 times. They have no run game. I mean, Marlon Mack might come back. He might not. I mean, I think he was limited last week, and then this week he's been a little limited so far too. So the potential for him coming back is there, but even then they just can't get anything going on the ground. So I think Luck's still gonna have to throw the ball 50 times probably every single game.
Yeah, I think this game's a little tight, and I think it's more of an under game than it is an over. I mean, if you look at the over-under, it's a 45. The Jets do like to kind of ground and pound teams a little bit and try and control the clock. I think both defenses are actually above average, surprisingly. You wouldn't think coming into the league, but they're into the season, but they're both above average. I don't think I'll have to throw it 60 times in this game, but I think he'll still be – they have no ground game, so maybe they try and get it going a little bit. He's more of a middle-of-the-road option for me. Not middle-of-the-road, but 10-12 range for me this week versus where he was, a top 10 option the last few weeks. But, I think you're firing up Luck if you have him. Naheem Hines, I think he's the only running back in a PPR type of league you're comfortable starting because he's seeing so many targets out of the backfield.
Yeah, the Colts. So the Jets, they allow the 7th most receptions to running backs. That's Hines, bread and butter right there. He's had 20 targets in the last 2 games. So, I mean, for sure, dialing up Hines, at least in a flex play. Probably even like a low-end RB2 with the volume in the passing against the Jets defense that allows a ton of passes to the running backs.
Eric Ebron, you're starting him.
Eric Ebron starting off. So I was looking at Ebron's rankings right there, and you don't be skewed by it because it shows that he is playing against the number 1 rated defense against tight ends. So the Jets are the number 1 rated defense against tight ends. I got it right here.
Even if they are the number 1, let's just say hypothetically they are the number 1. He's been seeing 10+ targets since Jack Doyle's been down. So when you have a tight end seeing...
Sorry, he was like, they're the number 1 defense against the run. And you're like, let's just say hypothetically they are the number 1 defense.
The Jets, they are the number 1 defense against the tight ends. But here's why. They played against Jacksonville, no tight end. Dallas, no tight end. Houston, no tight end. Saints, no tight end. Carolina, no tight end. That's why they're the number 1 against the tight end. And here's another thing why I feel confident starting Ebron. He's lining up 63% of the time in the slot, and the Jets are terrible against the slot. This is where teams eat against the Jets defense. So yeah, even though he's playing against the number 1 defense against the tight ends, don't feel nervous. Throw him out there. Like he said, like Anthony said, he's getting a ton of targets, and he's getting all the red zone targets too. So.
Yeah, and then I think the only receiver you're considering flex would be Chester Rogers. Since T.Y. has been out, double-digit targets in both games. So if you're in a PPR league and you want to, take a shot on Rogers in this game, I feel comfortable flexing him. That's fine.
Yeah, so Doyle and T.Y. have been ruled out already.
You're out.
So this kind of brings me to this is going to be my sleeper of the week. Chester Rogers, sleeper of the week right here. I picked him up in a couple leagues. I'm going to make a ballsy play, and I'm going to start him in a couple leagues over some other players who have some tougher matchups. But the last 2 games with T.Y. out, he's 22 targets, and he has 8 receptions in each game. So he's got 16 receptions in the last 2 games. The Jets, they struggle against the slot receivers, and Chester Rogers lines up in the slot 94% of the time. So think about games, players who line up in the slot had it. Manny Sanders, 9 for 72. D.D. Westbrook, 9 for 130. Golden Tate, 7 for 79 and a touchdown. So these are all players that line up in the slot. And so this is why Chester Rogers, sleeper of the week.
That is some good facts.
I'll
right
chest
there.
your Rogers.
Hey!
You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying, bro, there's a reason why I swept all you guys, and there's a reason why I'm first in the league.
I'm not gonna lie; those facts actually can back that up. But he also he's not gonna beat me. I don't want to talk about it.
All right, so we'll move over to the Jets
Were you
side.
trying Ryan Grant or?
Like I said, I don't think Luck's gonna have to throw the ball as much as I don't think the Jets are gonna get out to. Yeah, I know.
Every week.
I know. Okay, well, look at it. They were chasing New England by 20 plus points.
Yeah,
the week
I think
before,
you're right.
They were chasing, and honestly, Luck actually his numbers until the fourth quarter were absolutely crap.
Yeah, no.
So he's basically
it's
been
all
getting garbage times.
It's been like that his whole career.
I don't know about that.
Proven.
Just science, dude.
Just science. It's National Guard science. But what I'm getting at is I don't think this is a game where he's going to have to be shooting for garbage time type of work against the Jets. So I don't know if the fucker just throws it 60 times every time, but I don't know if he's going to throw it 60 times in this game legit.
Right.
Just because I don't think it's going to be a garbage time type of game for him.
For sure. If Marlon Mack is back, would you guys feel confident throw him in there?
I had him on my bench for a while, and then I dropped him. That's all I remember about
Hines has
Marlon
been
Mack.
impressive.
Hines looked good last week.
All right, let's move on to the
sure.
Jets because we're pushing time.
Yeah, let's go over to the Jets for sure.
So the receivers at this point, we're not starting Sam Darnold.
No.
We'll start with the receivers. Do you feel comfortable with Robbie Anderson or Quincy Enunwa in this matchup?
Everybody, don't
chase
pick
points.
up Robbie Anderson. I've seen people put way too much. Well, I mean, waiver wire's already over, but people put all this fab towards him, and he had one good week. It's like it's not gonna. But yeah,
I mean, if Quincy Enunwa were to be out because he has some kind of hand injury, then maybe I wouldn't mind Robbie Anderson in this matchup. But if Enunwa was there, I think you're kind of banking on that long bomb type of touchdown play. Enunwa has the hand injury, so if he's out there, I don't know if I trust him personally. I think the Jets try and in this game, I think they try and run the ball and control the clock a little more. How do you guys feel about the game?
I mean, I think Powell and Crowell are flex options this week. They're not very good at the Colts. Aren't very good against the run, and their middle linebacker, who was like I think his rookie middle linebacker for the Colts, he was like
a boss.
leading. Yeah, he was leading the league in tackles.
He was a boss.
I think he's going to be out again. So just keep an eye on that. If he's out, I would for sure dial those guys up. As far as the new he's still the guy there. I mean, he was having like you said like a 30% target share. Robbie Anderson, yeah, he had 2 touchdowns last week and like 100 yards, but he only had like 3 or 4 targets and
5.
5 targets, and then even like the one game where he had the one target for a 40-yard touchdown. So he's a home run guy. He's a boomer bust guy, but I mean you can't expect that every single week. So it'd be a Numa if I was going to start one of these guys here.
Yeah, but if the Numa has a hand issue, so watch the injury report. Because if Numa was out, then I wouldn't mind Anderson because he's going to be the ISO. He might see an inflated target volume, and he is a big play type of guy, so I can consider him then. But with the hurt hand, I don't know if I trust either of them in this matchup, honestly.
Yeah, there's got to be some better options out there, but
Yeah,
Chester
Powell,
Chester Rogers.
flex options. I mean, Crowell, it's like he's either going to get you 2 or he's going to get you 200 points. So,
I think this game script and this defense it favors Crowell.
yeah, I believe so
this
too
week.
as well.
no, dude. What's gonna happen is he's gonna get 2 points because he got 30 last week, so now it's 2 points, and then next week he'll get 45.
They alternate. This is
Yeah.
Powell. This is Powell's game. So go ahead and start Powell because they're just going to keep switching back and forth.
Yeah.
We're actually joking, but it could be true.
yeah. Don't listen to that last part.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next game. It's in the UK, Seattle and Oakland. 48-point over/under. The Seattle Seahawks are favored in this game because the Raiders are trash. Justin, how do you feel about the Raiders in this matchup?
They're trash.
Are they worse than the Dolphins?
No.
Didn't the Dolphins beat them?
Well, home field advantage, refs.
Raps.
The refs are Dolphins fans?
Yeah. Their colors are prettier.
All right, so on the Seattle side, Russell Wilson, I touched on it earlier in the episode. They're just not throwing the ball a lot. They're doing the Marty Schottenheimer run the ball old school type of offense.
Is he their offensive coordinator?
Yeah, and it's the Seattle was a top 3 in passing percentage last season coming into this year. And you kind of pegged them for they lost some defensive pieces, so you would figure they'd be throwing the ball a lot more. But their defense is playing decent. They found a running game somehow. I don't know if it's from DJ Fluker coming back and helping open up some lanes. But as long as they're running the ball with success, I think it's going to be hard to, trust Russell Wilson as a top 5 quarterback, and they're taking away his legs too. They're not letting him run the ball, which is at least if he was running the ball for 50 yards a game, I'd feel safe. But the coordinators are kind of taking, kind of like in Carolina when they said we're not going to let Cam run the ball last year. You were worried about him. Now they're doing the same thing in Seattle, but if they're actually doing it, they're not letting him run the ball, and it's kind of affecting his fantasy outlook. So Russell Wilson's someone where if I can find a good streaming option, like I'm starting Andy Dalton over Russell Wilson this week.
If it's me, I'm probably dialing up Russell Wilson. I think he's starting to get hot, and I'm not a big Russell Wilson guy either. But the Raiders' defense, it's not very good. I mean, you would know better than anybody, Justin.
They're terrible. They're terrible.
I mean, he might be getting warm, but do you feel comfortable starting him if he's throwing the ball 25, 26 times when the rest of the league's throwing it 40? Because I don't really, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah, we'll see.
And I have Russell Wilson in 2 leagues, so I'm hoping for him to get hot. But if they're using this running back by committee and just running it down people's throats, it's going to be hard for him to have these, top 5 games where you drafted him at.
Yeah.
Doug Baldwin's back, right?
Physically.
Yeah. Do you bench Lockett or no?
Definitely not benching Lockett. Lockett's actually been playing really good. Lockett, 13-plus points in 4 out of the 5 games. And he's had a touchdown in 4 out of the 5 games, too. So Lockett would be in my lineup for sure.
But
I mean, he's getting you 13-plus points for 80% of the time he's played.
But with Baldwin back, you don't think that's going to affect that?
I mean, Baldwin's been back for 2 games, and he still had 2 good games.
Oh, that last week was his first week.
I mean, Baldwin had one catch for 1 target or something like that for 1 yard.
They are hitting me with facts right now. What is your job on this podcast?
I fucking do everything besides talk, and sometimes I fucking
let's
throw
keep
in
it
some
that
goddamn
way.
talking.
Yeah, so
Let's
I mean,
keep it that way.
if you have Baldwin, it's tough to trust him at this point. Like, we really haven't seen much, unfortunately. There is the potential for him to, he did kind of squeak last week in an interview saying that, I forget the exact words because I had them in my notes. My notes disappeared. But it was a little bit of a squeaky wheel situation saying where, along the lines of, if he's not going to get the ball, he's going to consider, just, I think it was something along the lines of like retiring or some crap like that.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So it was like, basically a squeaky wheel. And sometimes those situations, him and Russell Wilson do have chemistry. Like I said, it's a second half thing. So he could at any moment get hot. If I have better options, I'm going to wait and see first. But I mean, if you're desperate, it's not the worst play. The running back situation, I mean, Chris Carson is seeing a ton of carries. I mean, he's had back-to-back 100-yard games. Back-to-back 100-yard games.
Pups agrees.
Pups agrees with that. I think you're starting Chris Carson as our RB2 in this point.
Yeah, I like Chris Carson as RB2. The Raiders, they allow 5.1 yards per carry. It's amongst the worst in the league. They're 26th ranked against running backs. Carson, he's been playing good. He 4.6 yards per carry, and he's had 34 touches and 20 touches in the last 2 games. So, yeah, I love Chris Carson this week. Dial him up as an RB2. Mike Davis, I'm not so sure. I think he's kind of a guy that comes here and there. I think this is the Chris Carson show, and unless he gets hurt, those guys don't have any real value.
Yeah. Mike Davis, I mean, I guess if you're desperate, but
Nah, I'm not throwing Mike Davis out there. He's got to fall into the end zone to have any type of value.
but he's been falling into the end zone is the thing.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I mean, we have to like. I know you don't want to start him, but some teams don't. Like I'm looking at a league where someone has Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. I think I'd probably go Mike Davis over Nick Chubb.
They're in last place.
And I'd even consider Mike Davis.
Yeah, it's such a
over
16-team
Derrick Henry.
league.
So this is what it's a 12-team league. So this is and there's bye weeks. This is what I'm saying. You have to like. I'm trying to like give these guys. There's teams who
God,
don't
I wish
have
I was
running
playing
backs.
that guy this week.
There's teams who don't have
the only
good
one I'd
running
get.
back situations, and he might get another 15 carry game. I mean, they had both of them had above 12 carries last week, I believe, right? And Mike Davis is the goal line back, so he might have red zone opportunity. So if you're in a desperate play,
I don't necessarily know if he's the goal line back. I mean,
how would you not when he's had the red zone carries over Chris Carson?
I don't know. Maybe he's just in there that time. I don't think when you say goal line back, I feel like you think, all right, they get close, they like LeGarrette Blount, Kerryon Johnson status. Like LeGarrette Blount is a goal line back because they instantly pull Kerryon Johnson out. Like,
Well, you could say the same as
Chris
maybe
Carson.
Kerryon got the ball down there, and then he was on the field for 7 snaps, and they put LeGarrette Blount in.
no, it was like a Galladay long pass, and they got to like the 1 yard line, and then they threw a little LeGarrette Blount there. I don't know. I just wouldn't feel confident. I mean, I guess I get what you're saying. Sometimes you're in a pinch, and there's certain players you need to play. I'm just saying I wouldn't feel confident, I guess is what I'm saying, in throwing them out there. If you got to do it, you got to do it. I mean, I had to throw Crowell out there 2 weeks ago against the Jags. I didn't love it, but like you said, I was in a pinch and I didn't have anybody else. There was no one on the waiver wire. He gave me like 1 point. So I mean, yeah, sometimes you just got to. You're backed into a corner.
Hey,
You gotta
1
fill
point.
plays.
Do you want to
No
beer bet
points.
that he gets more red zone carries than Chris Carson
over the course of the
Lukula?
year?
just this week and course of the year?
Over the course of the year, I don't think he gets more red zone carries than Chris Carson if Chris Carson stays healthy.
Wait, who?
Mike Davis.
Mike Davis. Mike Davis.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm out.
He's getting all the red zone work. I'll even pull it up. I had the stats on my other one. I think it was like 4-0 or something like that. All right. Anyways, let's move on to the Oakland because we're getting short on time. Derek Carr. No, I don't feel comfortable starting. He just
Sucks.
he's throwing more picks than touchdowns, I believe, or he's even. So, and he's not throwing a lot of touchdowns. So
Does he not like Amari Cooper? Like, what is the problem? I don't understand.
Just Gruden, I feel like.
Dude.
Marshawn Lynch, revenge game. You're starting Marshawn Lynch. The receivers, I mean, Jordy Nelson's actually been low-key kind of consistent in the offense. Amari Cooper's been up and down. It's one of those things where it could be when he has a tough cornerback matchup.
Every time we talk about Mark Cooper, you make that
Fucking
noise.
because he's like the
You're just like,
I mean, he's a talented dude. He's catching the ball at 72%. It's just he's either seeing 12 targets or 1 target in a game. So it's which is it going to be? If he sees 12 targets in a game, he's going to have you a solid game. If he sees 1 target, he's going to shit the bed and fuck your week, basically.
right.
Yeah. So I was looking at some stats on the Seahawks secondary. So when they play bad receivers, teams with bad receivers, Cardinals, Dallas, Chicago, they only give up 21 points to the receiver position. But now on the flip side, when they played against the Broncos and the Rams, who have good receivers, they gave up double. They gave up 44 points to those receivers. So I mean, this could be a game where Cooper. I mean, if you're going to start him, I would feel comfortable starting him this game. Last week, I didn't feel comfortable starting him. He was going against Casey Hayward. Casey Hayward's one of the best shadow cover corners in the league. So that's probably why he got shut down. But this week I feel more comfortable starting Cooper and even Jordy Nelson. Like you said, he's been playing really good. And even just to kind of touch on Marshawn real quick, 11-plus points in every single game, except for this last game where he would have had 11-plus points if they would have gave him the ball at the 1-yard line. But then instead they decided to do some dumbass play-action pass, and Derek Carr threw it right to the fucking linebacker. So I don't understand why they don't just, when they get close, I don't understand why they don't just give him the ball. They're at the 1-yard line. Give him. He's the best goal line back, in the league. Give him the ball. I just
He's
don't
been
understand
impressive
it.
this year. Very
He's still
impressive.
running really hard. He's running really
He's
good.
still good.
Way better than last year already.
Yeah, he looks good.
I love it when running backs run hard, dude.
So hard.
Me too.
He goes deep into the game, too.
Yeah. Yes.
Now I know why you guys do all the talking.
Okay. Let's move it on, huh? Let's do that, eh?
Do you want to keep going, or do you want to cut these ones into the next episode? Because I don't want to rush through them.
Yeah, I started rushing to the last one, but
See, we rush in. Get it? No.
Russian.
Join the National Guard.
Khabib
Not Russian.
I say
Russian.
let's just hit him and try and
Yeah, it's fine if it goes over. It's
yeah.
all right. I
And
don't
we only
know.
got 40 listeners,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's it.
Let's just not rush it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Let's just keep it organic.
How many listeners do you got?
Non-GMO.
Justin? See, that's it. That's it. On
We need
the
some more
listener-
beer bets
How many
on this
listeners-
show.
How many listeners
You're
do you
wasting
got?
time over there, bro.
Okay, I'm just.
All right. So next game we got.
We got to write these beer bets down.
Yeah.
so we
beer
know.
bets. Yeah.
Because Tyler's
We're
about to
on the
chug a
board.
beer with the Mike Davis.
Hey,
Chris Carson.
don't threaten me with a good time. Hey, so we're doing a beer bet on that one. Most red zone carries at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Red zone or inside the 10?
Inside the 10's fine.
Inside. Let's do inside the 10 because inside the 20s.
Yeah, he's already smacking him in all 3. So
All right, we'll do that one. Next game, Carolina Panthers at Washington Redskins. The Redskins are -1. The over/under is 44.5.
These are some average ass over unders.
You're starting Killer Cam. I mean, he's top 10, top 5 quarterback almost every week. It seems like I was kind of worried for him. In the beginning of the year with that line getting hurt, but he's been playing really good.
he's been playing decent. His numbers. He's had he's had 2 good games. He hasn't had a blow up game yet, but he's had 2 below average games. But I don't think you're really benching him at this point.
McCaffrey, CMC, he's just set it and forget it. Let's not even touch it. He's just set it and forget it every single week.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the tight end position. Olsen, who said they grabbed Olsen? You?
We both
I
did.
did.
Me and Justin.
Good one right there. I didn't even know what league did you grab him in.
Not ours because somebody didn't drop him. My big money league.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Is that where you play against the kindergartners?
Yeah. Well, I actually picked him up in 2 leagues.
Nice. That's good. I mean, yeah, for sure. We're talking about. I mean, if he's available, he's gonna be better than majority of the tight ends that are out there.
But already still gonna need surgery at the end of the year, so that didn't make me feel good.
Probably. I think Anthony was saying he's got at least a 50% chance of re-aggravating it.
Yeah, I listened to this a different podcast where they actually have some doctors on, who like give medical whatever, and there's like about a 50% chance of him re-aggravating the thing. So it's one of those things. Is like when he's on the field, you play him. Yeah. But he can only go out there. He might go out there for a half, and his foot might explode into 2 pieces. But if he's on the field, he's going to be a top 10 option. So as long as he's out there, you play him. Basically, is what it comes down to.
For sure. Talking about the receivers here, Funches is probably the only receiver who has any type of fantasy value here. I wouldn't feel comfortable starting him. I think.
Was Olsen in for sure, or is he?
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing I was going to touch on. When Olsen's there, it limits Funch's upside. When he's not there, obviously Funch's his targets and his numbers go up. But even then, I'm kind of nervous because he should see a decent amount of Josh Norman. I don't think Josh Norman's going to shadow him, but he should see him at least 50% of the time. And Norman's still one of the premier cover corners in the league. So, and I don't think Funch's is, he doesn't blow you away with his routes or his speed. He's more of just like a possession, big body kind of high point guy. So. I would be personally, I would be fading Funches in this matchup.
If you look at Pro Football Focus, actually Funches is supposed to line up against Quentin Dunbar, and Torrey Smith's supposed to be against Josh Norman. But Quentin Dunbar actually has a 20-point higher grade than Josh Norman does.
Yeah, that's like their new better corner.
Yeah, and Josh Norman takes plays off, which as what I've noticed. I was listening to someone else talk about it. They're a Redskins fan. They're like, Josh Norman will come out and then he just takes random plays off, or he just almost just doesn't give a crap. He got paid, so
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, well, I saw Funches, his lineup percentage. It was more of like a 50-50 split left and right. So that's why I was saying he was not going to be completely on Norman, but it'd be like a 50-50 type split or a 60-40 split. He's going to see some Josh Norman, basically, is what I was saying. And I feel like when he's on Norman, he's not going to get too much action,
But Norman's not playing good football is the thing I'm trying to point out. He's really not.
But who's better, Funches or Norman? I would take Norman over that any day.
I mean,
Norman covers.
If there's no
Norman
Olsen, I don't
covers
mind
guys
playing
like
Funches.
D-Hop and Odell and Julio. And Funches is not even remotely close in that tier of those guys. I'm just saying I would maybe limit his upside. Then
if there's no Olsen, I feel comfortable just because every game without Olsen, he has been consistent. Like nothing below 65 yards, games above 20 yards. He's scored in a high percentage of games when Olsen's not out there. Like I said, it just comes out to Josh Norman's not what Josh Norman used to be.
Yeah,
it's dependent upon Olsen is what it comes down to me. Yeah. Olsen's out there, I'm probably looking elsewhere. Olsen's not out there, I'm fine starting him.
Yeah. Jumping over to the Washington side, Alex Smith. He showed us why Kansas City got rid of him. They were like, hey, we have this guy named Mahomes, Alex Smith. Pack your bags. We're shipping you to Washington, and we saw why. I definitely would not feel comfortable starting him in Carolina against the Panthers. Panthers defense is pretty good. I think they're getting Thomas Davis back too after a 4-game suspension, so that defense is even going to get a bolster to how good they already were. So,
do you think that Alex Smith hates Native Americans because he was on the Chiefs and now he's on the Redskins? It's like hella racist.
That was actually that's the only funny thing you've ever said. That was funny. Hey,
you
did Alex Smith get paid?
You know what's so crazy?
Yeah, I lost interest.
No, but you say that every time I say anything.
That's funny. Did Alex Smith get paid? Did he get a big contract to go over there?
I think he was on his original contract. Oh. He got traded.
Speaking of Alex Smith hating, we know he hates Jordan Reed. That's been proven. Gosh, dang it.
This is true. What did he have? 1 for 21?
Yeah.
I think I saw that Vernon Davis was on the field for more snaps than
why?
Jordan Reed.
He was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Vernon Davis and Alex Smith play together?
Actually, that's
they played before
a false statement. Jordan Reed was on there for 39 and Vernon Davis was on there for 26. He was on there for more snaps in the first half is what it was.
Who got targeted more?
Ooh, let's check that.
I'm pretty sure
Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis did.
Possible.
Because I was watching
I'll bet beer on that.
It was 2 and 3.
I win.
So neither really got targeted. It was more of a it's weird that situation with Jordan Reed. I guess we'll touch on him first because he's seen 5, 8, and 7 targets through the first 3 weeks. I don't know if there was something going on with maybe a previous injury because he's always hurt, but I mean, there's not a lot of tight ends, so I think he's someone I'm still strolling out there. And if it's another bad week, then I'll start to panic. But I mean, unless you have a top 4 option, you're gonna have tight ends who have up and down weeks. So That's kind of my take on Jordan Reed.
He's just, I mean, he's got the talent, and he's been healthy for the most part, right? I mean, there's nothing that's popped up on the injury report. I don't think so.
No.
And he's from USC.
And he's, that probably explains why he sucks.
USC guys suck.
Yeah, because Juju sucks.
Ooh.
Juju sucks.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I feel confident starting any of these guys. I mean, I guess if you have Jordan Reed, you're going to throw him out there. I mean, who better are you going to throw out there? You know, that's available.
Are you gonna start like an Austin Hooper over him or like a?
Actually, I might feel a little bit with that matchup of Hooper. I might feel a little bit more confident over Jordan Reed. But I mean, for the most part, you're probably going to throw Jordan Reed out there. The receivers, I wouldn't start any of these receivers. They're just. This is probably one of the worst receiving cores in the league, in my opinion. They're pretty bad.
That is a very good statement.
So let's just touch on the running backs, AP and Chris Thompson. I think Chris Thompson, you're starting him every week, at least as a flex, and his floor is relatively high with the amount of passes that he's catching every game. AP, you banged up his shoulder, or?
Yeah, I mean he's 60 years old, and I kind of
It was good for week
64.
one though.
yeah, I was kind of one of those, like, if you have AP and after the first week or two, I was like, trade him, because I don't think his body's going to be able to hold up the whole season, and it's kind of showing now. He's banged up. I think if he starts, I don't know if you got to watch APs, because he could miss this game. But if he misses it, it's just a little bit of a bump to Chris Thompson. I don't think I'm starting any of the other running backs if he plays in this matchup. Carolina actually has a pretty good D, so I don't know how. I mean, he's not really involved in the passing game, so I don't know how comfortable I'd feel.
Yeah, it'd probably
As
be
much more than like
fading AP. Well, how do you feel, Mike? You got AP over there. I saw you had him in your lineup against me.
Yeah.
I told you not to play him, and you think I'm trying to reverse psychology you, but I'm actually trying to
Yeah,
tell
because
you my
you
personal
know why
opinion.
I think that? Because
trying to help out
all
average
season
Joe.
you haven't sent me one fucking trade. You haven't told me to play one guy over another. But as soon as I'm playing you in a matchup, you go, "Oh, dude, you know, I would really play this guy over this guy."
Because
so,
I
yeah,
finally,
dude, it sounds
I
like
was looking
some
at your
fucking
team,
fuckery,
and I was like,
right?
oh, like let me get Melvin Gordon.
Yeah. Actually, I would like to intervene. Your league that you're in first place, him and I did help you draft that, but I'm just throwing that out
What league?
there. I'm not. It's beside the point, but you're welcome.
That seems very much
Yeah, you're
not
welcome.
beside the point.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Would you start Alfred Morris or AP this week?
Alfred Morris.
Volume. I mean, I guess the volume. I'd
If
probably go
assuming
Morris.
AP's out there. I think
I might go Morris just for the volume, and Morris is actually. I mean, Morris is low key been like getting the red zone carries. I think he has 6 red zone inside the 5. He has 6 carries inside the 5, so he's in the top 10 in the league in that aspect. AP, like it's like you said, he's getting older. He's banged up. I mean, all it takes is one hit. He lands on his shoulder wrong. Maybe he pops out. Maybe he gets an AC joint sprain or something. Now he's out for the whole game. You know, so I don't want to take that risk of throwing him out there and he gets me like 10 rushes for 34 yards and then boom, he's out for the rest of the game.
He's game script dependent too, so at least Morris isn't going to get game scripted out to where if Carolina gets out to a little bit of a lead, AP gets game scripted out is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean Carolina's defense is good. Their front seven is good. They got Kuechly, who's an All-Pro, and then Thomas Davis is a Pro Bowler too. And like I said, he's coming back. He's got fresh legs. I'd probably be fading AP if I had better options. Defense,
Carolina's D, I think you could start in this matchup.
for sure.
All right, so let's go on to the next one. Mike, your Pittsburgh Steelers
Pittsburgh.
against them Cincinnati Bengals.
Pittsburgh has 3 divisional games right in a row.
Upset of the week?
Damn, so they're about to be last place in the division.
We are right now, but
Are you tied with the Browns still?
yeah, but we lost to the Baltimore.
Browns
so
are in second place.
How confident do you feel about this game? Not confident?
I think we match up good again. I still think we can win. Yeah, I like it. I think we'll win. I'm feeling confident. All right, God damn it.
At Cincinnati, not gonna happen.
Dude, that last year we fucking destroyed Vontez Burfict in Cincinnati.
Oh, that's true.
And
I got that shirt.
Le'Veon Bell fucking threw that dude.
Who?
Le'Veon
Yeah,
Bell.
he's not playing exactly.
No,
which is why Cincinnati's gonna win.
guess what I'm saying is that what jersey does he wear?
What?
The Steelers
It was
jersey?
a fucking Steelers jersey, all right? And he slammed this motherfucker on the ground with a stiff arm.
That was
All
a nasty
stiff
stiff
arms.
arm, dude.
Yeah,
He
we were
fucking
watching at
just
Twin Peaks.
destroyed the. Yeah, oh, dude, we
There was
got
so much
hyped.
bro. There was so much blood at Twin Peaks, but I was like, I couldn't. I ended up looking at the TV instead, though.
But that's the minor leagues farming system. Twin Peaks.
Yeah, those are up and comers right there. There's a
farm-
couple flyers at
It's
Twin
the
Peaks
farm-
right here.
The farm
Keep
team
an eye on
for
them.
the cocktail waitresses.
Yeah, there's some sleepers over there,
Yeah, for sure.
especially the one on Vegas Boulevard. Oh, man. Take a look at
Twin Peaks, if you want to sponsor the podcast, we'll shout out your farm
we
system.
love kill
Yeah.
up there.
So let's talk about Big Ben real quick on the Steelers. So, I mean, he's known for his home road splits. I mean, last week he balled out. He just destroyed the Falcons' defense. Their defense is trash. They're one of the worst defenses in the league. He's going on the road. It's a division game. And in his home road splits, so that's a real thing. So, stat I found on him, 6 of his last 8 games against Cincinnati, he's scored 15 points or less. So, I mean, that's just not a stat I like. I mean, if there's better options out there, like I'd feel more comfortable starting a Jameis Winston, throwing him out there. I might even throw a possibly Baker Mayfield or something like that over there. It's just tough with Big Ben. I don't know what it is. On the road, he just plays like shit. Why is that, Mike?
Wait, what?
Why does Big Ben play like shit on the road?
I don't know, dude. He seems like I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe he's just.
I mean, on the road, tough division game. The Bengals defense isn't like the greatest, but they're not the worst either.
I think they just know. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I mean, he's
Big
went over
Ben's an
300
idiot.
yards in both of his road games so far. And last year, that trend was bucked a little bit. So I don't know if I'm necessarily like completely benching him. I mean, there's not a lot of streaming options I would realistically start over him. Andy Dalton's pretty owned at this point. I think the streaming options you would be looking at would be like Baker Mayfield, Blake Bortles, Smith, Trubisky. I don't know if I'd be starting any of those guys over Big Ben.
I mean, yeah, he's got the weapons for sure. You got Juju, you got AB, you got Vance McDonald just out here ending people's careers. So
He's watching all the Avengers and all the Marvel
That's so
Comics
gay, sir.
movies.
So I mean, yeah, I would maybe just temper the expectations. Don't expect
Yeah,
for him to
yeah,
come
that's
out
a
and
good
have
way
that
to put
same
it.
game he had last week against the Falcons. Because yeah, he's on the road against a pretty good Bengals defense.
Yeah.
James Conner,
I like him.
You can
down
down
him
him
up.
at
You
this
can't.
point.
You can.
You're starting Juju. You're starting AB, Vance McDonald. I mean, if you
You're starting him most likely unless you have
Yeah,
a better
most
option.
likely.
I mean, unrealistic. You're probably throwing him out there. Jump over to the Bengals side. Andy Dalton.
I think it's a good play this week. Pittsburgh D is not very nice. Not very nice.
I mean, they kind of shut down Atlanta, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, they did. I think Andy Dalton's a top 15 play. He's been pretty consistent so far throughout the season. They do have Joe Mixon back. And what I've noticed is when Joe Mixon's in the game, his yardage per game kind of dipped down to under 3. In the games that Mixon's been healthy, it's been under 300 in those games. So they do try and control the game clock a little more when Mixon's out there, and they do give Mixon a heavy workload. So, I mean, start Mixon, obviously, is what I'm saying. But this is a potential shootout game, so I do like Dalton in this matchup.
Yeah, Steelers 31st against QBs, so I'd definitely be dialing him up. If he's out there, just a streaming option. Dalton should be owned, actually. I mean, even if he's like your backup quarterback. I mean, like I said, sometimes for me personally, I'll take 2 quarterbacks and I'll just try to match up based on them week to week, and do it like that. Let's jump over to the receivers. So AJ Green, you're starting him. Tyler Boyd. He's an interesting name. He had a couple crazy good games. Last week he kind of came back down to earth. But I was looking at some stats when I can find them.
Where's the...
Steelers. They allow the second most yards and the second most PPR points to slot receivers. Where does Tyler Boyd line up? In the slot. 67% of the time. I would definitely be starting Tyler Boyd this week.
You have really nice handwriting.
Thank you.
He really does, though.
Tyler Boyd, throw him in there. Start him. Second most points allowed to slot receivers. Tyler Boyd lines up in the slot. Start him.
Anybody else? Tyler,
the tight ends, I think you gotta... I don't feel comfortable
CJ
either.
has as malas sabes?
Who's your mama says it? Who's your daddy?
CJ
It definitely
CJ
wasn't
who's
your
your
daddy
mama?
last week.
Hey, what's
Yeah,
wrong with
no.
Giovanni Bernard? What's his injury?
He's MCL sprain. He's been out for like a week now.
No, I just was
I
I
wondering.
didn't know
think
what
it
the
was-
injury was.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
you know what
surprised.
that
You're like, what's going on with... I thought you were like, what's going on with that guy?
I know he was injured, but like, I don't know why.
Okay.
It's
like,
a
where's he
minor-
been? They're not
is it-
playing him?
Is it a minor sprain?
MCL sprain, so it's not
MCL
like
Should I drop him?
It's not like a tear.
Yeah, he's gonna be back for a few more weeks.
So drop him.
And even then, it's Mixon's show when he's out there.
It's the Mixon show.
But is Mixon healthy? Didn't he do something minor on his
He had
knee?
like a knee, like it wasn't like a
like
surgery,
a
like
scrape off his bone or something?
yeah, something weird.
It's
That's
a
weird.
bone contusion. No,
what a
I'm just
pussy.
kidding. I don't know.
All right, so let's move on to
Well, let's touch on the tight ends real quick in that one, just because, I mean, I forgot hurt, so it's kind of like, who's it going to be? Tyler Croft is going to be this Uzama guy, whatever his name is.
Uzumama.
We'll call him Little Uzi, I guess. We'll call him Big Uzi. So it was Big Uzi who got all the run. He got 92% of the snaps. I mean, if you're looking for a flyer at tight end, the Steelers, they are the second worst team against tight ends. So
I think that
potential's there. I mean, and I think, Dalton, he likes looking for the tight ends when he gets close. He's always looking for the tight ends in the red zone. So
how many targets?
I wouldn't be surprised if Uzi got a little.
2 targets and 1 target to Croft.
Yeah. But
I don't feel comfortable even streaming him, to be honest.
I mean, it's an option. Just some stats right there.
I'd rather start a guy like Swaim over him.
Ooh, see, Swaim, I wouldn't do it. You want to do a beer bet on Swaim versus Usama?
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. Put it on the board. Championship.
All right, beer bet.
Beer bet. I got Big Uzi. He's got Swaim. Most points.
Swaim.
If Cameron Braid's out there, I'd rather start Cameron Braid.
Oh,
over,
100%. Yeah. Braid, I think, is a top 10 play right here. Braid could be a top 5 play, actually,
Yeah, I
with,
think so too.
with Winston in that shootout potential matchup right there.
I mean, I don't even know if Uzma's in the top 15 options. I'd be starting guys like Austin Hooper, McDonald. I mean,
I'm just saying, if you're in a pinch and you need a guy and no one's out there,
yeah, if no one's out there.
maybe you just pick him up. And like I say, he's on the field 92% of the time. And the Steelers, they're the second worst against tight ends. So, and Dalton, he likes to throw the tight ends. Last week maybe he didn't, but he also had a bad game last week. I mean, the only reason they won that game is because Tannehill decided
He was throwing balls off people's helmets.
Yeah, he decided to shovel past it to the D lineman on the Bengals.
Blink. All right. Let's move on to the Bucks and the Falcons game.
I love it when it hits off I love when it hits off of a player's helmet and then they're looking up and it's like bouncing off their head. It's my favorite thing.
All right, so Tampa Bay Bucks, they're at the Atlanta Falcons.
Whoa. What's this over under? 57 and a half. Oh my God, so many points. Wow.
So Jameis, we'll start with the road team. Jameis Winston, I think he's a nice play this week. If you picked him up, I think you feel comfortable starting him. The Falcons defense is not good.
I'm trying to pick up Cameron Braid as we speak. Actually.
Oh, he's taking our advice mid session.
Mid-session.
In session.
Yeah, dude, I totally don't do that ever in the middle of the podcast.
Sorry.
So for me personally, I just want every piece of action I can get in this game because two good offenses,
Pieces of actions, I like that.
bad defenses.
As do I.
It's in a dome. You don't worry about the weather. This should be a shootout. This game should go back and forth. I mean, if Jameis Winston had 4 touchdowns and Matt Ryan had 4 touchdowns, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Pieces of action and dome. I like your verbiage.
Yeah.
Bro, so
Love this podcast.
Yeah, pieces of action.
Evans, Deshaun. I think he's a nice play in this matchup. Chris Godwin, sneaky flex play. He's been a red zone target. Brait, you're starting. Him and Jameis. They're homies. They're thunder
They got
buddies.
like a bromance.
They're thunder buddies for sure.
What about the running backs right here, though? Are you starting Peyton Barber or Ronald Jones?
I don't know if I'm starting either of them, but if I have Ronald Jones, this is a game where I'm like, okay, the matchups, Atlanta's defense as a whole is just very bad right now. So if I have Ronald Jones, I'm like, please make a splash, hoping maybe he can take that job if he's able to make some plays against Atlanta. If he doesn't, then at this point it's like, this is the matchup where if he's going to take advantage of a matchup, it's this one and maybe win the starting job. But if he doesn't, then it's going to probably be ugly for whoever's there going forward.
Do you own any of those guys, Justin?
No.
Smart man.
Yeah,
I agree.
I had Ronald Jones in the first week, and then I did not have Ronald Jones in the second week.
Atlanta side, Matt Ryan, you're starting. Julio Jones, you're starting. I think Julio Jones gets on the touchdown board this game.
Beer bet that? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
I got Julio Jones, so I want him to score.
I believe it's going to happen, but with him, you never know.
We'll see. Yeah, you're starting all those receivers: Julio, Ridley, Sanu. So just a crazy stat I saw on Sanu. I mean, Ridley had those crazy games where he, got all those touchdowns, but Sanu still the number 2 here. He's getting more routes run, more snaps, more play than Ridley. But
He's
the
a
Bucks,
big boy.
the Bucks, they allow the most
big
points
boy.
to slot receivers. Sanu lines up in the slot 76% of the time. So Sanu's a guy who's available in a ton of leagues. If you need someone, take a flyer on him. I mean, the potential for like a shootout. He's at home. Matt Ryan always plays better at home. Bucks, most points given up to slot receivers. That's where Sanu lines up. What's that? Hooper? You starting the Hooper Scooper?
Hey, by the way, that was my sleeper last week, and he did pretty fucking good.
I mean, he saw 12
9
targets.
receptions.
Yeah, for 12 targets last week.
Yeah, I played him, and he won me a league. 'Cause
I mean, I
went
guess
up
someone-
against Zach Ertz, and so he went off. So I at least had something going up against him
Yeah.
on my bye week with somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, I was between streaming him and Swain, and I chose Swain, and I chose poorly. I guess not that poorly. Swain had a decent game.
Swain had a decent game.
He had like 6 points.
He had 3 for like 55, so it just depends.
Like
what-
8.5, I think it was. Something like that.
PPR.
Oh,
Half,
so
like 7.
not as much as my sleeper.
I don't remember you calling it as your sleeper.
Oh, dude, I did.
When?
I did on one of the podcasts. I for sure
I don't
did.
believe so.
I did it to Tyler.
Bro,
at
he
least.
just pooper scoopered his
Yeah,
pants.
well, I did. I tried to. Sorry.
All right, let's move over to the running backs. Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman. I guess
Freeman
you
has
got to
a
watch
bone
because
contusion.
Freeman, yeah, he has another injury. Just can't stay healthy this year, unfortunately. So if he's out, I think you start Tevin Coleman if he's out.
Yeah, if he's up, Tevin Coleman turns into a top 20 play instantly.
Yeah.
Automatically. Maybe even better than that.
Wait, Devontae Freeman's hurt.
Yeah,
He has a bone
Wasn't he
contusion.
back last week?
yeah, but then he got hurt
Yeah,
again.
then he got hurt
he has a
again.
bone contusion.
See, we're just dropping knowledge on him
God
right here.
damn, well,
Mid
we're in
podcast,
this
he's like,
epi-
wait, what?
I'm gonna have to cut this episode because I need a gas mask over here.
Anyways, yeah, so just keep an eye on his injury report. If he doesn't play, Tevin Coleman, he's probably like a top 15 play, actually. Every game that Devontae Freeman hasn't played, Tevin Coleman's produced double-digit fantasy points.
Fanny points.
Fanny points, yeah. Just to touch back on Hooper again for streaming, like the Bucks, they allow the most points to tight ends. So I think this is a good week to start Hooper again. Like he continues to, his success of catching the ball. You know, he uses his hands, and
He's in a
I
double.
thought the Jets were the worst against tight end. Didn't you say that?
the
earlier?
Jets are the number 1 against the tight end. The Bucks are the 32nd against the tight end.
If you were listening, he said it's the teams they play had no tight ends. That's why I'm here. You freaking suck at this.
Dude, you're right, dude.
Get
I'm
better.
sorry. All right. Anything else you guys
So
want
if
to touch
they're-
on?
No,
I guess
yeah,
if they're
Monday
both
night
out
game.
there, you
Monday
start
night game.
Freeman if he's out there.
No, we just do in the mornings.
in a
this one.
potential shootout. Sorry, I just touched on Freeman fast because
Yeah.
there's a lot of Freeman owners that might be in a dilemma.
I mean, if he's there, Freeman, if he's playing, I think you gotta. I think you
Yeah,
gotta
I-
play him,
I
especially
agree.
in this game. I mean, it's an over/under game. The Bucks defense is not good.
He's the red zone back too.
I mean,
when it
even if
comes
he
down
only
to it.
gets, even if he only gets like 10 to 15 carries, I mean, he's got the potential. Like you said, the red zone. He's got the potential to fall in. I mean, Julio Jones will probably run it to the 1, and then they'll give it to Devontae.
Would you
Freeman or
trade?
something.
Would you trade target Devontae Freeman right now just because he's hurt and all this stuff? Like you could.
Negative.
Those injuries are scaring me.
I would trade target Tevin Coleman if I could.
Yeah,
Maybe
I like that.
don't sell the house for him, but if I could give away someone, like I would probably trade a Crowell for like a Tevin Coleman. Because if Devontae Freeman goes down, then you got Coleman here, who's like top 15 probably.
He's like in that J.H.I. situation where Devontae Freeman's so banged up in so many areas, it might take one more hit to just knock him out for the rest
That'd
of the
be
year,
great because I have
or even a while, because they might potentially, if they win this game, they might say, hey, we need him healthy for the playoff run. So, you know, you might even be able to get Tevin Coleman and use for like a few weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, if something happens to Freeman. On Julio Jones, so how many red zone targets do you think Julio Jones has after week 1?
So excluding week
Week
one, the
one.
week 1 game,
Yeah.
man, it makes me think he's going to be really low. 0.
12.
I'm going to say 0.
I'm gonna say 3.
It's 0.
0.
So he has 0 red zone targets since that week 1 game where he was
Jesus.
targeted 3 times.
Well, yeah, keep running the ball because that worked on that one play where they ran the ball with Freeman 4 times in a row and he didn't fucking get it. Remember that?
I
Coleman
just don't
would've got
understand. So I saw another stat. There's 172 players who have a receiving touchdown. Julio Jones is not one of them.
in. That's crazy.
That is wild.
I mean, maybe he gets a target this week.
Nah, he's probably just gonna have to break off
No,
like
he'll
a 50-yard
get it.
touchdown run. But
Okay,
this
dude.
is the team to do it against.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if he's gonna fucking if he's gonna make touchdown,
Make touchdown.
make a touchdown this game.
Oh, you big boy, Julio.
Okay, guys, we're getting hella racist again. All right.
It's not racist.
I'm dude. Look at my fucking skin, and it's way too white for me to be making any Asian jokes.
Justin's
Anyways.
part Asian.
What? I don't mind Asian jokes. Yes, I have
Okay.
a small.
You're Asian?
Yeah,
He said, "Yes, I
He
have
loves
a
Asian
small
women too.
Wait, you're Asian?
Yeah, only where it counts.
I think you.
I don't know if you want to
Okay.
brag about that.
Did you just say I thank you? I thank you.
I think you.
I think you.
That's racist.
No, I said I think you. I think you got that.
Can we do an
stereotype
extra
right.
credit like bonus real quick on this podcast?
Good.
Do I start Edelman this week? Is what I
Here,
need
do you
to
want to do it? Oh, do you want to
Edelman over who?
Just Edelman, period.
Do you start him?
I don't know.
It's a one wide
a-
receiver league.
It's a one,
Let
and he's my only option.
Actually, my boy was telling me that he's in a league where it's like you start a quarterback, you start one running back, one receiver, and one flex. That's it. And I'm like,
that'd
bro,
be
what a
fun.
league is that? Like,
It's like not even fun.
Hey, should I
Yeah.
drop Rudolph and pick up Cameron Brake?
I wouldn't drop Rudolph.
Well, is it that
I
weird
have
league?
Jordan
He's
Reed.
had 5
Is
plus
it that
catches
weird
in
league
every
where you
single game.
can't?
Yeah, I have Rudolph.
Yeah,
on the
because you're
bench
gonna
and
be able to
Jordan
pick up. There's probably a lot of tight ends in that league on the waiver wire, huh?
Reed. Yeah.
I would in this matchup. Do you need to win a matchup?
Here,
Yeah.
do you guys want to
Then,
do? You guys want to do a segment? Help Justin.
No,
Yeah.
no. All right. So do I start?
It's just that
Do I
weird
start
league
John
where you-
Brown over Edelman, or Edelman over John Brown?
I mean,
I like Smokey. He's seeing a
he likes
ton of
Smokey.
targets.
I mean, I saw this with the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense, they allow so far this year, they allowed 8 receptions to the slot receivers. So if that's his floor, like 8 receptions potentially, and if it's a PPR league, you're looking at like 8 points floor. That's not even with the yardage.
So you going
know,
Edelman
so-
over John Brown?
I would go Edelman over John Brown, but I think John Brown is a good play this week too. Like I'm not.
See, I would go Smokey in that situation because the reason, I mean, the targets, yeah, but Edelman is not a touchdown guy. John Brown's already scored, I think, 3 touchdowns in the first 5
He had
games,
14 targets last week.
and he's seeing
That's
a ton, of targets.
He was
yeah.
overthrown on 9 of them.
Jesus. And all it takes is one, like you said, like a 60-yard touchdown, and
If you want to have a okay, here's what it comes down to. If you want to play a safer play, play Edelman. If you want a guy that's and Smokey's actually relatively been safe. I don't think he's had a game under 50 yards yet.
Yeah.
So he's been safe himself. He's just not a huge PPR
getting
guy.
a ton of targets too.
Yeah. But if you want that upside to where someone goes for 100 plus and a touchdown or 2, I would start Smokey.
All right, guys. I have a question. Should I play Melvin Gordon?
You should trade him to me.
You should get out of last place.
Dude, this fucking fake news you're bringing onto this podcast, I don't appreciate it, dude.
My ears are.
Justin has a fart again.
That was good.
I like your
Okay.
one word answers.
I know. I'm gonna be
Is
back
that it
next
for
week.
today, guys?
Oh yeah, that was the Thursday game, and then all the morning games.
Yeah,
we'll
we'll-
come back. We'll touch on the afternoon games and the Monday night game.
all the games.
No.
Maybe throw out some sleepers for you guys this
No.
week too. We'll all pick a sleeper. Mike will pick his kicker sleeper of the week.
Sick.
So
Yeah, we'll try and be a little faster in the next episode for you guys.
All right. So that's been the Average Bros podcast. This is episode 20, morning matchups, Thursday night football preview. Thank you for watching.
Hey, like
Appreciate
if you want
guys.
me back for my second guest appearance. Oh, I'm gonna be back next week.
You heard it here first.
what, Mike? You said this is the worst rated episode we've had so far already.
How many people viewed?
Bro, we have so many stats. Everybody's saying, damn, dude, that's fucked up, man. They said that you aren't Dwayne The Rock Johnson and you're ugly, dude. Oh, wait, that was me.
You think he was
I thought he
gonna
was gonna hit
hit
me.
you?
Anyways, this has been episode 20. Thank you for listening.
were done.
Oh, no, I'm still fucking. I had to fucking adjust
My
this.
mic's up here.
All right. Thank you for listening. If you listen, Justin's apparently he's already fucking gone. He's over it. Thank you for listening. Check us out on iTunes. Check us out. Give us a rate, review, subscribe. Hit those fucking stars all the way to the end on the right side. All 5 of them. Click that. Check us out on YouTube. Your mic, you look like you have that.
Can I record like this next episode?
No, because I can't. It's literally backwards. You can't hear what you're saying
How come you can't hear?
because it's on the wrong side. It's
Go
literally
around.
backwards.
I'm going
You have to, no, dude. You have to go turn the mic around. Yeah. See, you fucking.
To go this way?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's-
it's omnidirectional?
yeah.
Oh, thanks for telling me.
That's what I've been trying to tell you guys
I
forever.
didn't know it was omnidirectional.
I don't think that's what omnidirectional is.
Whatever.
Cardioid, I think, is what it is.
It's something. It's omni something.
Anyways,
It's omnia.
Omni.
Insomnia.
Anyways, check us out on YouTube. Help us out. Subscribe to all of our stuff. Ask us some questions. We would love to help you out. We already help out all of our friends all the time, and you know what? We want to help out.
We
the
even help
general
out our
public.
roommate here. We're giving him,
He doesn't
in
know-
podcast advice. He's just like, wait, hold on, wait, what?
That player
He's
is
hurt. Wait, what? I should pick this guy up.
Should I start Edelman? Who else? Edelman. All right. I guess
Anyways,
Edelman.
So thanks for listening. Appreciate you.
Those says.
We're
Who
freaking out,
is-
dude.